Hi, Flora. Flora, for those who don't know, is a leadership coach.
I'm Flora. We have way more control over our lives than I thought we did.
What would you say the time would be for them to start?
It's never too late to start. We are so conditioned on what success means that we're all trying to tick those boxes.
My body shut down completely.
RTT is rapid transformational therapy. It's based on working with your subconscious. The beliefs about who you are formed very, very young.
Actually, the brain is maybe the stupidest muscle you have in your body.
You go as I'm a failure, everybody else is succeeding. Imagine your brain is trained to keep your survival and to be negative all the time, and you keep repeating negative thoughts. You're not self-regulating, and then you let anxiety, self-doubt, drop of confidence come in.
Hi, Flora. Thank you for coming to my show, Those Who Wonder, and I'm so happy I'm hosting you today. So Flora, for those who don't know, is a leadership coach, a licensed therapist, but I want you to introduce yourself, which I think is much better.
Okay, cool. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm Flora. I'm French originally, and I've traveled the world since I'm 19 years old, working in different countries. I used to do something very, very different. I used to work in events, in corporate and shows and Olympics and concerts. So a very, very different world. And my life took me to the UAE and Qatar a long time ago, but I would just pop in and leave. And eventually I made it here for a job of 2 weeks, like most people in Dubai. And 8 years later, I'm here having completely changed my career. I've had an amazing milestone in my career, but I got to a point where it was time to do something that felt right for me. And that was exciting. And I think that's what you want to talk about.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So it's obviously we focus a lot on the path and the mental state and a lot of the reasons why you left. So if you would like to share a few, let's say, I know you were in a very high position, you'll talk about it now, and at some point you decided to do something super completely different. So take me through a little bit of what happened. Why did you do it? Was it a calling? Was it burnouts? Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because most of my life I've chosen to be a freelancer. There was a need for freedom, and then fast forward 17 years later, opportunity came in to be in a full-time position in an amazing project here in Abu Dhabi called the Louvre Abu Dhabi. And it was a bit like, maybe, because I was already tired of events. I was like, maybe this is my next step. Finally I can build something that lasts, that has legacy. And it was quite early in the project, and it was really scary and exciting to join. Scary because I love my freedom and the idea to be in a full-time job and the politics and everything was a bit like, I'm not sure about this. But at the same time, I was like, maybe this is my next step. But it kind of came my way. It's not something that I looked for. And it allowed me to do things that I like, such as managing teams, but in a more permanent setup. Really sort of became a leader that I wanted to be. But it also came with a lot of restrictions. It also came with a reality that I didn't have a lot of freedom anymore, that I had to align with values of people around me. And I felt very uncomfortable doing this because it wasn't always aligned with who I am. And so fast forward, very happy to have built an amazing department that was doing amazingly well. But there was a huge but. My main drive was money. And my other drive was I love my team and I didn't want to let them down because I know that I was taking good care of them in quite a challenging work environment. And so how it happens to me is I knew there was such a discomfort. I didn't want to go to work anymore, but I was going. And at the time, being a people pleaser, I would work long hours and show up at work a lot. But I had kind of already started slowing down a year before.
At your job. So you started
at my job because there was a feeling of I'm giving up my life. I'm turning 40 soon. I've set up everybody. Why am I working around the clock? And kind of really going against this boys club mentality of, who's the latest at work. And I really did this for so many years, even getting upset with other people leaving early, which now I'm like, oh my God, you got it.
You get into it.
You protected your time. Well done. But just to continue on that, I was just really uncomfortable, really unhappy. And I actually went to see a kinesiotherapist who was like a kinesiologist, who was like working on like tapping on your body and working out like how your muscle responds. And I was like, I don't really know what it is, but whatever worked for someone else, I was like, if it can give me a bit of clarity, let's do it. And it was really interesting because what came up was that I had two very strong feelings. It was anger and it was courage. And I say I haven't told you this story, but it just came up naturally. And she said, that's really interesting. Anger obviously comes a lot. I was like, oh, yeah, that's definitely anger against the people around me, and that I'm not aligned, and that I wanted to build something for the company that is different from the direction we're taking. But then she said, yeah, but courage, where does courage come from? And I was like, I'm not being courageous. I left at 18 for Spain. Then I moved to England at 19. I always took really big jobs. I always was courageous. I said no to things I didn't want. And I'm not courageous anymore. I'm just sitting in this like job that pays me a fortune, buying clothes and, being quite materialistic to kind of soothe the discomfort. And it's not me. I've got to be courageous. I need to stop being falsely comfortable. And so she's quite renowned here, and she said she was doing this thing about, where are you at in your life? 80% is 70, 30%, your love life, your friendship, your spirituality. I'm like, I'd never done anything like this. And I left and I drove back home and I was like, I'm resigning. That's it. I'm leaving.
Just like that.
Yeah, because it was this thing where bravery was something courageous. Like I was courageous in the courtyard defending the kids who were being, bullied. I always had that bravery in me and I lost it. And so I messaged that lady and I went, okay, I'm resigning. She's like, whoa, that was not the point.
That's not the point. That's not what I'm saying to do.
No, exactly. And I was like, no, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And so I waited a couple of weeks, so I think a few weeks for strategic reasons, because I wanted to set up my team and stuff before and tell them. And I was already on my way out, by the way. It's been already a year that I was preparing my way out, but I wasn't taking the step.
Okay.
So I resigned with zero plan. And that's what I said to you. There was no magic recipe. Yeah. Like I'm not saying people that have the magic way on how you move from full-time job to entrepreneurship. Not at all. It was absolute mental, emotional burnout, complete misalignment, and going, okay, I don't have that much money left because I came from an expensive separation not long before that. But I'm good at what I do. I'll bounce back. I need out.
And the courage came back, right? So
yeah, it was just like, it made me realize, and that's what's really interesting, right? It doesn't always have to be this deep self-reflection. Sometimes it's just this calling that you have and it's your intuition coming back. But at the same time, I will admit it was a knee-jerk reaction. No planning, no thinking. It's like, I'm out, I'm done, this is it. Right. So when you're in a senior position, obviously you have to stay a bit longer in a company because you have like contract terms and stuff. But I didn't know when I left what I wanted to do. The only thing I left was with understanding suddenly that people were upset, or most people were upset that I was leaving, not just from my department, but a lot of other departments, because I was championing integrity and honesty and like working with people in a way that you elevate them and you're prepared to let them go so they can also go and grow in their own ways. And I fought for what I thought was right or wrong, right? But no one told me at the time. So it was when I left that suddenly I had all those people saying, no, you can't leave because you represent this, you represent that.
That's so nice to be recognized,
it was amazing.
Right? It's a beautiful feeling. Like what you've tried to do is recognized.
It's recognized when you're on your way out, right? And that's the tragedy of it.
That's
because we got in a culture where no one was saying thank you. I mean, I'm not saying my team was different, but I think even my team got a shock and was like, oh, no, don't go anywhere. So I'm just dropping this now because to me, this was really like a turn in the road that I didn't see coming yet. Because fast forward me leaving, I literally danced my way out, feeling really guilty, by the way, because I know how many people were upset, but I was done. had no plans, but I came across, and I know it's a crazy story, but I had this Instagram ad, and I'm not embarrassed to say it.
Yeah.
An Instagram ad that kept bugging me. That's
I'm
how the
excited.
universe
I want to
can
know what
work
it
around.
is.
Yeah. Bugging me for 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really like this ad, and I never finished it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was not ready for it, clearly. And this ad was by Marisa Peer, that is now internationally renowned, who's running this school called Rapid Transformational Therapy School. And anyway, after a phone call with a colleague of mine who was like, why aren't you being a coach? And I'm like, oh, coach. She's like, you're so good with people. You've just helped me on that call. I'm like, oh, no. They don't get you anywhere. I was so judgmental because I had not great experiences within a corporate environment. And I was like, maybe I need to listen. Maybe there's a sign. And then I listened to the ad for the first time until the end. And I was like, oh my goodness. I think I've just understood something amazing. We have way more control over our lives than I thought we did. And there's so many reasons that I didn't even understand on how we behave and how we limit ourselves. And first it was me thinking I couldn't help my team always to be their better selves.
You couldn't? You felt that you
get to this
couldn't.
point where you have someone, you're like, you could be so good. You could be like moving to the next. I'm like, oh, no, I don't feel comfortable. I'm scared to present. And then you help them. But there's a point where there's a roadblock.
Of course.
And I realized that the subconscious is so much like self-programming and rewiring and self-beliefs that get in the way of our day-to-day life. And the moment I realized this, I was like, I need to study this. I want to know about this. This blew my mind away, that we're only using 5% of our brain capacity, and all the rest, we're on autopilot.
It's crazy, right? When you get to a point where you realize that you've been on autopilot, as you said, for years, and sometimes 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
And I would love to know, like, how were you feeling back then? When you left your job, you were without anything, right? Sitting there. What were you thinking about? Is it, I'm doomed, I'm happy, I'm excited? Like, what were your thoughts? Like, I know you saw your ad, but before that, you were confused? You were happy?
No, I just wanted out. I can't explain it to you. It was like there was no thinking process about the future. There was like, I need a break.
Okay.
My body needs a break. Okay. I need a break. I just needed out. It was like almost to call it like I was done. And I really don't recommend people to get to this point because you might not make the right calls, because your body's so exhausted. It's going to take a really long time for recovery, which I didn't realize. And I always say to my clients, 4 or 5 years later, I'm still paying the price of burnout, of stress that I accumulated through my previous work experiences. So going along for the sake of going along and not bring self-awareness in our lives and really try to be aligned within has a massive, massive cost. And as I said to you, my motivation was money and recognition. And
so, in your opinion, a lot of people are not even aware that they're going through anything, right? So we're conditioned in a society and a life where you have to work, you have to make money, you have to do this and that. And people just follow that just because they've been always taught to do that. You're different, right? Your life was the opposite. You started off with your freedom, with living the life that you actually wanted, being a bit of a rebel, let's say, doing things differently. But today, if you had to talk to, let's say, anyone in your life, what would you say the time would be for them to start with either introspecting, with coaching, with just asking themselves the right questions? When would they have to start that?
So I'm going to answer 2 questions. The first one is, that was false freedom. I wasn't that rebellious. I still thought I needed money, I needed a house, I needed a partner, I needed to do well, I needed to be recognized. So no, I was as programmed as everybody else. It's just that maybe I was a bit more different and braver than other people, but not that much. And you touch on something amazing, which is going to link me to the second answer. But we are so conditioned on what success means, on what a happy life means, that we're all trying to tick those boxes without asking ourselves. So going back to your question, I think as early as you can, but don't be ashamed to be starting late. It's never too late to start. That's really, really important, because people be like, oh, I'm too far in. No,
Yeah.
you're not too far in. You still have another 20, 30, 40, 50 years to live. Do not underestimate that time is like a currency you'll never get back. So for me, it's
100%,
like, it's really true.
It's
and
the biggest
waste
currency. Yeah.
We waste it. So for me, it's like, I think people get really overwhelmed with what is self-awareness. Like, let's just put the labels away. It's like, learn about how emotions work, learn about the brain works, listen to other people who have, that's why you created this podcast at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Listen to other people's experiences, be open-minded. I mean, you think I was open-minded? Well, it took me 10 years to do yoga. It took me 15 years to even consider meditations. I was peeling on, pardon my language, but on breath work, saying, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like, be open-minded and realize that if you're not taking care of yourself in the way that feels good to your body and your mind, and if you wake up every morning feeling like you're in a rat race and that you're not satisfied, you really need to look within. But even if you're doing well, you need to look within, because all of us have a part of us that has gone through conditioning, that has had traumas, that has had self-beliefs that are not serving us anymore and that are limiting us. And that for me, gosh, I wish everybody was doing that kind of work. And you can do it at so many levels. And I know money gets in the way for a lot of people, but there are so many resources online now that at least you can get a head start.
I agree. Look, there is something that you tapped into as well, finances. So there is an aspect of coaching that is quite expensive. So for those who don't know, I'm going to tell my story, how I met you, because I love it. And I think that for the longest time, I had this kind of urge that I needed to leave. I needed to do things differently. I didn't understand why I was going to work from 9 to 5, whatever the time is, why I had to wake up in the morning on a Monday and feel that I love working and I want to do this, like, why do I have to switch off on a Friday? Like, switch off on a Friday, go party and go have some fun. Why do I have to do this? I felt like it was very abnormal. It wasn't humane. I felt like there was something wrong. And to your point of earliest possible, I spent years, the last few years, having this feeling where it's a bit shameful to talk about these days, and not these days, it's in the industry in general as human beings. And as you said, I think by the end of it, my body shut down completely and just basically told me to stop. That was the only time where I stopped and I said, I need help. And that's when I found you. Yeah. It just happened, like I just saw you and I felt like there's a connection. I also feel like I need to connect with the other person so that I can feel better. So to that point as well, a lot of people try. Maybe they try therapy, maybe they try coaching, they try with the wrong people that, it just doesn't work with them. They're not wrong or right. It just doesn't work out. So I wanted to ask you, so to find the right coach, therapy, etc., how would you advise people to go about it? There's a lot of noise out there, right? Lots of coaches, lots of things you can tap into, RTT, your therapy, other types of therapy. How can someone find what they really need in this chaos?
God, I wish I had the answer. It's not an easy answer because how do I answer this in a simple way? You need to kind of go and see. It's hard to answer. You need to go and, as you and I did, right? We had an introduction call. Not all therapists do it. You book it, you meet them, you see how you feel. I think for me, you need to feel connected to the person in some ways, and it doesn't always happen immediately, but have a feeling of trust in a way or another. You need to come with the idea that you want to change. Yeah. You want to create a change.
You have to be ready.
But I think you need to... The reason why I'm struggling to answer these questions is because I went down that road. 20 years old, psychology. I knew I needed help. Yeah. I knew something was not okay emotionally and stuff. went to a therapist at 22 years old. You don't have money for this. So I did a few sessions. I didn't really gel with the lady. She made me realize one thing about my family pattern, but that was about it. Fast forward 10 years later, 30 years old, I did cognitive behavior therapy. I was having terrible nightmares, same fears, same thing coming up, very unhappy relationship. Went to do CBT. Again, not criticizing it. I use some of the tools sometimes, but didn't work at all for me. Question is it CBT? Is it the therapist? You've got to try things. There's no other way to say it.
Yeah.
I think you need to ask your therapist, what are you actually doing? What is the work we're actually doing? Ask a lot of questions so you feel confident that what's the process? How does it work? What's our timeline together? How are we going to, what's the methodology that you're using? What do I need to do myself between sessions? Like, ask a lot of questions. Research a kind of therapy, but don't over-research, because we all know that Google can just give you down, If you look RTT, it's an amazing therapy, but you'll have people saying, no, you should be doing talking therapy for 5 years. I'm the opposite school. I'm like, most of the things are in your subconscious. Find the answers, understand the patterns you're stuck in, and then, go and do other approaches and things like that. But you could be sitting in a chair with a therapist, and trust me, I am not criticizing talking therapy, but
course.
to me, we've advanced. We are not, we so advanced with psychology and neuroscience. You need to start marrying the both. But some people will need to go and speak to someone, and for weeks and after weeks and after weeks. For me, I'm frustrated with that kind of therapy. I'm someone who wanted solutions fast, and I'm solution driven for my clients. So I needed something that shows changes much quicker. So what are you going for? Are you going for radical change? Are you going for emotional support? Are you going to just go and speak to someone because you don't have anybody you can speak to?
Yeah, it's quite difficult in this pool of...
it's hard. And then coaches, there's so many people who call themselves coaches that don't necessarily have the training, that are just left their jobs and just want to do something different. Again, what is the roadmap? What am I working on? What is the goal that I'm working towards? Is the questions you need to ask.
So can you tell me more about RTT? I feel like it's, for me at least, for people like my character that also want things a little bit faster than others. Like, it's not wrong, it's not right, it's just worked for me. I would love for you to tell the people about RTT and how it works. And ideally, what are some of the things that they could come to you for? It's not like an ad here, but it's just like really, really interesting. And you tap into so many different things. That's what people don't understand. You tap into leadership, romance, relationships, family, self-doubt. It's a lot, and it's not just one thing. So I would love for you to talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I'll make it as fast as I can. As fast as I can. RTT is rapid transformational therapy. It's based on working with your subconscious. Your subconscious is 95% of your brain. So, like, functioning every day. So that's how you wake up in the morning. That's all your habits. That's all your memories without filter. So think about a camera that can just films everything versus you just remembering what you've seen. It's like kind of a really restricted view, your conscious, whereas your subconscious has everything logged in. It's like a massive library with all the information about your lives, what you think about yourself, your beliefs you've built as a young child, which everybody builds from the age 2 to 7, 2 to 11. The beliefs about who you are formed very, very young. And anyone who's denial of this, it's a really big mistake because it makes absolute sense. Your brain is in development. You're capturing everything around you and you're creating the rules of who I am in that space. How am I interacting with people? Example, like, okay, when I speak, I get shouted at, or, when I try and make friends, I get rejected. And from that, you create belief system that brings you in your adult life, and they come up as self-sabotage, procrastination, going for a relationship where you get rejected, not being confident, people-pleasing. I work with a lot of women in groups now where so many of those women have just learned that they have to be good girls and they have to please everybody and that their only job is to be good. And people are like, oh, this is a ridiculous concept. It's like, no, from the leader to the mother at home who's decided to take care of their kids to your best friend, most women have been conditioned by their family, but also the way they looked at their mother growing up, on how you interact in the society. So imagine you have like, it's almost like you have a framework. You have like a roadmap, a clumsy roadmap from a kid that is still ingrained in your brain, and that is looking for constant confirmation.
I say this a lot. Actually, the brain is, maybe, excuse my language, but the stupidest muscle you have in your body, because of that framework, because it's conditioned. It's automated. It just responds to things the way it's not supposed to, maybe sometimes, but it doesn't get it. So I don't know if this is something that people can change. You're saying that it gave you hope that you're only using 5% of your brain. Is it 5%?
Yeah, conscious. Yeah, it is. But your subconscious is not, sorry to jump in, your subconscious is not, your brain is not stupid. Your brain needs to be guided.
Yeah.
So you're the boss.
Yeah.
And I think we forget that the brain is not the one leading.
100%.
You're the one leading.
Yeah.
And you have a brain, a body, a heart, and a soul. Right? That's the team.
Yeah.
That's who we've got on board.
Yeah.
So coming back to your question on how do you make the changes, like there's many techniques, and you go through hypnotherapy, which allows you to just be relaxed. You'll hear everything like you do normally, but you just switch off the blah, blah, blah inner critic voice that, gets in the way every day. And you go and find the reason why. Why am I not confident at work? Why can't I set up my own business? Why am I, attracting men who constantly reject me? Or why am I, whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's always finding the why of your question. And then you get answers as you go through the process to why are you acting this way over and over again? Why are you stuck? And often you have old memories coming back. And it's not about the accuracy of the memory. It's about how they made you feel. And that creates belief system about who you are and what you can do. And once you've understood this, like any problem, once you understand it, you can find a solution and you're able to release there's a whole process through it, but release those belief system, release those old conditioning, and then you reprogram your brain like a computer. And that's, through listening to a design recording that is just for you about what you want, who you are, and your new belief system. And your brain create new neural pathways that allow you to respond differently to the same situation you were in.
I love it. It seems so simple, right? Like, it seems so simple.
But that's why I loved it. I'm like, why is not everybody talking about this?
Yeah, 100%.
Why are you also stuck?
That's why we're talking about this.
Like, this should be available to everybody.
Look, Flora, I think... Look, it took a lot of courage from where I'm standing. And I feel like when I talk to you, it feels like it's something that's always been there. Like, you've been doing this for 50 years, and I love this about you. And I would love to understand how you got here. You have so much knowledge. It's very hard to do something new. You were in a completely different business and you shifted to a completely different industry. Yeah. And has it been easy to learn all of this, to get clients, to pitch yourself as a different brand, different image? Tell me a little bit about how you've done this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it sounds all great that I suddenly found my purpose to help people in life in a way that, wasn't
Instagram shots,
Yeah. But then came the harsh reality of, I don't only need to be trained in something completely new and, get really good at it. I also need to have a business plan, which, by the way, I didn't have for 2 years. I'm being really honest.
Yeah, you were winging it.
Did I book a social media agency on day 2 to help me? Yes. And did I have a pretty website?
Yeah.
Yes. Was that helpful? No. It's been hardcore in the sense that I'm one of the lucky one. That's what's crazy as well. I'm standing there after 3 years in a business that is doing extremely well. If you look at the market, at people around me, obviously I'm very ambitious. I want things to grow fast. I'm not super patient, but I've had to learn all of this. But to answer your question, it's like, I think no matter what you're doing, you suddenly have to learn so many more skill sets. Marketing, I wasn't in marketing. That was huge for me. Copywriting. Getting in a world of social media, that wasn't really my cup of tea before. Your positioning, who are you actually talking to? How are you positioning yourself in the market? What's your personal brand? I mean, let's be honest here. My personal brand started 12 months ago, not even 11 months ago. And it's doing great now. But I'm like, could I have fast forwarded this process? Yeah, most likely if I had a business coach and I invested in a business coach that could shift me from that place, because her job is not my job. She knows her job well.
Yeah.
I didn't. But the sad reality is I invested in coaches, in online courses. Like we're talking, I mean, I've never added it up and I should probably do it, but I'm easily $100,000 more in things that I wanted to help me.
That you thought were going to help
some
you.
helped and some didn't. I remember investing in this coach that was for 15 entrepreneurs, women, you know, 12,000, maybe 100,000 is an exaggeration. Actually, I'm just trying to think, probably $60,000. But I'd love to do the calculation because I might be
Still
shocked.
a big,
actually.
Please let me know later.
I will. I need to work it out. But the point I'm trying to make is I wasn't shy in investing.
Okay.
I believed I needed to learn. I just didn't have a plan. And when you don't have a plan, you buy stuff from everywhere thinking this is going to fix my issue. If you don't have a strategy for your business, pardon my language, but you're screwed. And it's crazy coming from someone who was in senior leadership in a massive corporation that I spent 2 years with no strategy. Luckily, I had clients from, you know, past network who respected my work before and said, oh my God, if she's doing this, she's going to do it well. Recommendations helped. But oh my God, I was clueless on how to set up a business. Absolutely clueless. And I know you love practical things.
I do.
And for me, it's like a lot of research. It's going to go and speak to people who are doing it already. Yes, some people won't be open and honest with you. So be aware of that people will pretend things are all easy and they're not. But there'll be other people like me who are so happy to share because they don't want you to go through maybe some of the pain points, right? Obviously, you'll still go through your own pain points. It's being really realistic of all that is needed in a business. Like for me, I thought, oh yeah, I'll just talk about myself and people will come. Doesn't work that way. It's how much money do you actually require? Are the first 2 years going to be really tough? Do you have enough cash on the side to keep you going? Because I went like, hee-haw, you know, had 6 months worth of cash.
I remember you told me I wouldn't advise anyone to leave their jobs before they go into something else. But we'll talk about this in a bit as well.
Yeah. And I just, though again, it's a rule where that if I hadn't done what I've done, I wouldn't be where I am, right? So there's no right or wrong.
Exactly.
But the point is so many people are able to start businesses outside of their normal job to kind of test the water and see. The other thing I would say is, finding the right resources. I think one-on-one, if you find the right coach, again, how do you do that? Search, recommendation, contact ex-clients, just try and do your best to really get feedback. And resilience and allowing yourself to fail over and over again. I mean, gosh, how many times I've tried to do things on Instagram. I'm absolutely loving LinkedIn now. Got to get back into Instagram, you know, but it's a lot of work. And I think what I would say as well is get support as soon as you can. Plan this in the money you save. An assistant soon. Don't get lost in admin. Look at your accounting. Look at your finances. Go and speak to an accountant. Understand what it even means in your country. Like, do the research. Treat this as a proper, full-on project. And the other advice I would give is do something that you're good at, that you love, and that actually there's a market for. Because if you don't really truly love what you're doing, the back-end stuff that is not glamorous, where you spend hours working in software, or maybe, you know, if you're doing product stuff, you're sorting in the warehouse on your own because you don't have help, or your inventories, all the dirty work, the admin, the follow-ups. Get help early because this is going to crush your soul.
It's heavy.
And you're not going to be focused on the big picture. There are some of my advices.
So a lot of the advice that I also get from, obviously I ask a lot of advice as well, right? Yeah. So I'm in the same kind of boat. But there's a lot of talk about finances, and it's a real problem. And it's a real problem for people who have also families to support, parents, kids, you know, responsibilities that are bigger than others. I do agree that you do need help as much as possible in the beginning. But if you're not able to get that help, then the only way for people to test things out are just like by, putting everything out there, testing things, doing things themselves. Would you advise for people to actually go beyond what they can to get that help in the beginning? Or let's say if someone has a bit of trouble financially, take the time, which is also money, right?
Yeah.
Take that time to test things out and then invest in themselves.
There's so many questions in that question, right? So many layers.
I always have too many things to say.
So there's several things. There's testing things out, a minimum viable product. Let me try it out. Is it even remotely a good idea? Yes, you can do a lot of that yourself, but you still need to, MVP, research it. I didn't know about it for ages. Like research, test. Yes, you can. What I'm trying to say is, if you're really serious about it, there's enough people online those days that it doesn't actually cost you that much money to get help on the practical things, like checking an inventory, doing a design for something. Instead of spending 3 days doing a design, when you could actually invest in remodeling your product, if it's a product, or acquiring the skill set that you need. Like, I know it's hard when I say this, but what I'm trying to say is I don't think after 6 months you can keep going on your own.
Yeah.
If you're pretty much full-time active in your job or you have another job going. Because you're going to start hating your job anyway. You're going to start being frustrated. You're going to lose focus. There's enough out there. Obviously, be safe and vet people, but people who can do a lot of things to help you online, remotely, that you stay on track. The other layer for me is, sorry, I'm jumping around a bit, but you're talking about finances. It's like the mindset is so important, and it's 80% mindset, 20% action. It really is, in the sense of, no, I'm not telling you it's easy and you have 3 actions to take, because you work. I don't know if we're allowed to swear. I was going to say something. You
swear, I'll cut it.
Yeah.
I'll just do a beep.
Yeah. Where you work your ass off, you put everything in. But if you have the narrative, am I going to make it? I'm not good enough. Other people are doing better than me. I failed. And you can't pick yourself up. Meditation, therapy to get your subconscious bias out of the way. Manifestation, all those things that are tools for your mind, self-emotional regulation when you're having huge anxiety, carving times to actually exercise, because the thing when you're an entrepreneur, you're like, I need to work every second of the day until I succeed. Whoa, that doesn't work that way. You're going to burn out the same way you burnt out in your other job.
Agreed.
So there's a lot around mindset, and there's so many amazing podcasts like the one you're creating, and so many other podcasts out there. Go and understand how people are setting themselves emotionally and mindset-wise for failure, for challenges. Because if you don't work with your mindset, it doesn't matter all the actions you will take. You'll put the energy in there that is not the right energy, and you're setting up yourself for failure. And you don't have a backup plan, which is emotional resilience, when it goes wrong. And it will go wrong over and over again. I mean, the most beautiful success stories have so many failures in them.
So tell me a bit about your way of, let's say, lifting yourself up or talking to yourself when you're failing. You obviously went through a bit of trouble, I think, financially, mentally. You had a big breakup, you didn't have enough money, etc. How were you able to lift yourself up? Is it by having friends around you? Is it yourself? Is it doing work? As you said, like having coaches, therapy, friends, family. Tell me a bit about that.
For me, it was a mix. Friends are an interesting one because a lot of friends don't understand.
If they're not going through the same...
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they have this image, at least for me, they had this image of I could do anything. And that's nice to hear that. But at the same time, you're like, but you don't get it.
You don't.
But you need those friends. You need your people, how do you say, crowd?
Yeah, your people.
Crowd cheers. Yeah, they're just cheering you no matter what you're doing in life, right? You need them. I think, look, I'm not much of a group person. I love people, but I try the old networking things, and to me, it drains my energy. But have I met a couple of people that I like exchanging with? Yes. I think it's nice to talk to other people who are uplifting, but also very honest about their reality.
Yeah.
So you're not alone. You're not alone. And people say, how do I meet these people? Well, you go to business networking, or even you go on LinkedIn and you look at profiles of people that inspire you, that you think are cool, that are posting, that are interesting. And you just DM and you go, hey, do you like a chat? And some people would say yes. Some people would say no. I found some amazing women on LinkedIn, especially this year. Okay, do I speak to them every day? No. But how earnest those conversations are amazing. So that's important. Do not listen to your friends and your family who are telling you, are you sure? Does this make sense? Don't let people project their fear on you. Listen and then sort out. If people have a piece of advice or comment that may sting, but actually makes sense based on facts, great. But don't listen. Don't start giving your ideas away to all your friends and family and everyone to shoot it down. Don't let people fears for you or for themselves or their own limitation tell you can't do something. So support is a funny one. Coaching, no, you don't have to have a coach or a therapist nonstop, but you need to be able to check in and go, I need help here. I told you about my money mindset, things coming from childhood.
Yeah.
I didn't do this so long ago. My business was doing pretty well with its own challenges because I invested a lot of money. So even though you do well, you still have that balance of catching up with all the money you invested before. But I had my own story about money that was negative. So yes, I did the therapy, right? But what has really helped me is working with a business coach, and very rare, who also had an understanding on mindset. Was always bringing me back to, and I'm a mindset coach after all, you know, as well.
But coaches need coaches, therapists need therapists.
But in an environment that I didn't quite understand, which was business, right? So it was keeping the morning practice, the meditation, the breath work, whatever works for you. What are my inspired actions every morning? Not the 5,000 million things I put on my list. What is my goal? And what are the 3 actions I'm going to take today to go towards that goal? Checking in my emotional state every single day. Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Why are you angry or frustrated about? Why? Work through the why and understand it. Like dance, breathe, run, whatever it is for you that helps you regulate your emotions. It's a constant daily work of self-regulation and checking in. So you don't let any limitations come. I every morning pretty much now write like, how am I feeling? What is it that I'm working towards? What are my limiting beliefs of the moment? Not the thing I was used to drag from childhood, but what is my limiting belief? Because the more you keep growing or going down, by the way, the more you have new limiting beliefs, new stories you're telling yourself, because your mind is mainly negative anyway. So you're constantly, I always get this wrong, but I think it's 90% negative thought, 85% or 80% repetitive thoughts. Yes, that way around. Insane. Imagine your brain is trained to keep you survival and to be negative all the time, and you keep repeating negative thoughts. So if you don't jump in every day and choose your story and break the narrative and say, I can do this, I'm able to do this, whatever the story you're telling yourself, you're not self-regulating, and then you let anxiety, self-doubt, drop of confidence come in. So it's a constant daily, and it takes 10 minutes. It doesn't take up to an hour. I mean, if you can do more, great. But you can do a lot of things to keep your mindset and your emotions in check.
And especially that people are not used to this, right? So they're used to being in a kind of autopilot mode, going to work. Of course, work takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of also mindset, right? So it's a different mindset for different things. But the newness of everything that you're doing when you're leaving behind a whole life, especially if you've been working in this field for, let's say, 20 years, 15 years, whichever it is, the shift is huge.
Yeah.
And I love that you say mindset is number one, because I feel it today. It's not money, of course. It's a big problem, right? So if you think about money, it's also a thought. How do you get over that thought? How do you get over that fear? And it's also something from a personal experience as well. Like I've changed so much in this year, and it's just as refreshing as it is scary, because you're trying new things, right?
Yeah,
it's always
constantly.
exciting, but it's also anxious, and it's also, am I going to fail? Am I not going to do it? But I love the resilience it gives you, because you get used to failing a lot,
Yeah.
you know, and it's something that's, I think everybody needs to experience at some point in your life, because I feel like it builds you, like it makes you
Yeah, it makes you grow.
stronger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about failure again, because a lot of people talk to me and ask me, and the more I discuss it with entrepreneurs or people who have left and done something super different, they talk a lot about loneliness. They talk about it being a very lonely journey. I never got it before. You know, I'm a person who loves being at home, working from home. I've always wanted it. You know, I wanted that freedom. I wanted to be with my own thoughts. I love it. Even people who are happy with being on their own and with themselves and are comfortable are still feeling this kind of loneliness when they go through this. So have you ever felt it? Like, is this something that comes up even in your therapies?
So loneliness is a funny one for me, because actually I found great pleasure in loneliness, because I always used to be surrounded by people. And actually for me, I've discovered that I'm a people person. I'm someone who's naturally guide and inspire and motivate and uplift outside of the therapy work I do. But I need a lot of time on my own. So actually becoming an entrepreneur actually grounded me a lot, because I realize I'm a bit of a hermit.
Interesting.
So really interesting for me. So I didn't feel the loneliness as much as other people. I actually gained energy from not being constantly interacting with people, even though I love people and I'm helping people and all of this. The loneliness to me is in the struggle. Is this only happening to me? Why did this thing that I did on social media, why is this new product that I launched not working? This is only me. And then what you do is, instead of looking for the uplifters of this person who's succeeding already is a proof that I can do it, you go as, I'm a failure, everybody else is succeeding. And that's absolute nonsense, not to say another word. It's nonsense, because pretty much everybody is struggling in a way or another at some point through different phases. So loneliness for me is for some people. That's what we talked about earlier on offline. Was entrepreneurship is not for everybody. If you don't like working on your own, if you can't self-motivate and wake up every morning and get on with it, probably not for you. Yeah, you could find workspaces and all of that, but there's a lot of being alone. So if you don't love being alone, ask yourself why, because maybe there's a reason behind it that you need to heal. But maybe that's not you. Maybe you strive on noises and people around you and interacting with people and working as a team. But that team, you don't quite have it at the beginning for most of us. So that's why I'll be careful about loneliness is, like I said, I'm repeating myself, but find people that inspire you around you or are 6 steps ahead of you and kind of inspire you, right? But it is going to be lonely, and you have to face yourself in the mirror with your reality. And that's quite vulnerable.
Did you ever get to a point where you're like, that's it, I'm done going back to corporate, I don't want to do this anymore?
I've had a couple of weeks when I fell sick. Which is a backlash. I mean, we still don't quite know what it was, but it's a backlash, I think, of burning out years before.
Probably, yeah.
And it came 2 years into the business when I was doing well. And it
2 years after.
really threw me. Yeah. I was out for about 4-5 months. And I was like, I can't do this. What am I doing? Like, I would be taken care of, have like days off, you know. But no, like, I'd say 2 weeks and 3 years, I questioned my choice. But I was at a point where my health was a struggle and no one could give me answers, because the damage of stress is a complicated one and it takes time and it doesn't always show up. So yeah, that's the only time. But that doesn't mean that other people, if they ask themselves all the time, it's wrong either. You know, I think a bit of doubt is good and healthy. But to me, no, like, I don't want to go back to where I was. I really don't.
I love it. So today, you know where you are today with your feelings of with your also struggles, with the failures. I know it's not been easy. What's the joy that you feel with whatever you've done, your achievements, let's say? I don't usually like to call it achievement. It's just a path for me. You know, it's like something beautiful sometimes. Sometimes it's horrible. Sometimes it's great. But what gives you joy today with what you've done?
To make a difference. To just see, you know, I went from just one-on-one to speaking at events. I love it. I'm like, if I could come in a room for 40 minutes, I mean, I like an hour, to be fair, at least. But, and just give one thing to people where they leave and they go, oh my God, I've heard this and I've just got it stuck here and this is helping me. Making that difference, that little turning point, being that one person, that just giving you that little nugget that you're taking and you're like, oh, okay.
That might change your life.
Change your life or change something you're struggling with. It doesn't even have to be that big.
Yeah.
Creating shifts. And that's why I created this program that I launched, you know, first time, Cohort of Women, group coaching online. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is for two reasons. One, I realized that I wasn't a classic online course girl. I need to interact with people. I need to hear what's going on. And I have this brain that works in finding the different elements that is going to help people at least take a step forward, better understand themselves. And the pleasure I take in coaching these women is because I see every day, I hear this is making a difference. But also what I love about it is I love women. God, I love men too. I do. I work with men one-on-one. But I believe women are really playing small. You know, the program's called Love Yourself First, and I'm planning to run this twice a year because I believe so much in the change it's creating. And the reason why I created it is love for yourself is at the root cause of all our issues. It's always coming back to that.
I agree.
It really is. And I wanted women to unapologetically love themselves first. Because when you do that, you're a better partner, you're a better leader, you take better care of yourself. You're not being selfish, but we have been so told that we're selfish that you have this talented woman with so much ability, with so much power. I mean, women are extraordinary in so many ways. And we're underplaying it all the time. Or you have women who think they can't talk to their best friends about their worst struggles because everyone is in a rat race of ticking all the boxes of life because you feel lonely. And creating that space, it's not an entrepreneur space. There are entrepreneurs, there are full-time people, there are freelancers in there. The point is they all had that common problem: people-pleasing, self-doubt, lack of confidence, not believing in themselves. That goes back to the mindset. That goes back to the emotional regulation. And for me, showing up every week, I mean, fills my heart with so much joy because I cover every topic that women need to tap into. It's not just work. It's not just
I love
this.
it. Yeah.
It's like every single topic that you haven't talked with your best friends sometimes. And that sense of sisterhood. And those women, I believe, will support each other in some level. Maybe some will become really good friends. Maybe some will just walk away having felt nurtured and supported for a period of time. And I think I'm creating a lot of mindset shifts and you know, really fueling them with courage and self-realizations and practical tools that make them take those bold steps in their lives.
Flora, I have goosebumps. Sorry. I talk about a community a lot because I feel like it's something that's slipping away these days. You know, people are becoming very self-absorbed and, you know, there's a lot of negativity in the world, etc. And I feel like I have this sisterhood. I don't have actual sisters. I have amazing brothers, but I found my sisters, you know, outside of this world with friendship. They have saved me, literally, from so many things. And I feel like a lot of people are missing out on finding this sisterhood. And if they are and life didn't give them this opportunity, you're creating this for them. Yeah. And I love it.
Ooh, I love it too.
Flora, we have 5 minutes left.
Yes.
I have something that I do in every podcast.
Yeah.
I think you know Esther Perel.
I do. She's one of my favorite.
I think everyone's favorite
psychologists out there.
psychologist.
Yes.
So she's created this game that's called Where Should We Begin?
Yeah.
And it's actually for connecting people
Yeah.
to start conversations.
Yeah.
So you have a deck in front of you.
Yes, I do.
I want you to shuffle it
I will.
and choose a random card where you're going to get a very thought through question.
Okay.
And we're going to know what you have to answer.
Okay, sounds good. So shuffling is not my top skill, but I
think
did a
it's
little
enough.
mix. So let's do this. Okay. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I love random deep questions.
Sorry, knocked off that mic. Okay. I wish I would have spoken up when.
Wait, repeat.
I wish I would have spoken up when. It's a challenging one for me because I do speak up quite a lot. But for all the women who have been emotionally abused and are in abusive relationships, the speaking up is with the people around you can help you. And I know it's not easy, and I'm getting a bit emotional because the reality is you can be brave, you can be amazing at your job, you can speak up, but there's too many women out there who think it's shameful to admit they're stuck. And the reason why I'm emotional about this is I see it all the time. And there's one of the girl who's in my group coaching. I'm thinking about her. That's why I'm getting a bit emotional here. Who's been in a abusive, physically, emotionally abusive relationship for 25 years. And she's just managed to get out and divorce with 3 kids.
Wow.
She's providing for her children only. And she said, you've allowed me, you enabled me to speak up. And I just encourage you that if you're struggling, you could be speaking up in so many other ways in your life, but don't keep the pain. Don't be ashamed of saying, I'm not okay, I'm not being treated well. Take the guilt away and speak. Ask for help. And I know it's not always easy, but I think too many women out there are not speaking up when they're being mistreated, belittled, gaslighted. Speak. Find someone who's ready to hear you, not someone who's going to entertain the dramatic scenario or put you down. If your gut feeling tells you you're not safe, you're not okay, speak up. You don't have to shout, but please speak up. This is something that for me,
I love the message.
yeah, is so important. I've spoken up at work my entire life.
Do you regret any instance where you had to speak up for yourself and you haven't?
It's an interesting one because I always spoke up for myself most of the time, but I didn't do it in a way that was helpful to me when I was stuck in my own, toxic dynamics, because there's a lot of shame. So speak, say it, don't waste years being in those situations. And, that girl I just told you about, who I'm so proud of, she finally spoke, found someone, and managed to get out, but speak.
Thank you, Flora.
You're welcome. It's finished on a quite dramatic,
I love
emotional
it.
note.
No, I love this. I love emotions. I love getting deep. I love vulnerability. This is something that allowed me and a lot of people around me and my friends and my sisters to heal. Is this vulnerability? Just being honest, saying everything, really everything, like no filter. And I hope everyone has these people around them. If you don't,
Go
get
and
them.
look for them. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love
it was
this.
lovely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.